many think is just a garish consumeristic plot by Big Greeting Card and Big Chocolate. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this special Valentine's Day edition of the multiverse of beer and music. Valentine's is a made up holiday that many think is just a garish consumeristic plot by Big Greeting Card and Big Chocolate to make money and make people feel bad. But at its heart, it is a light-hearted holiday that celebrates love, celebrates caring between individuals, and oftentimes one may find oneself not really in a relationship, which makes Valentine's Day hard sometimes. But we're going to soldier on because we are just those types of people. Tonight we're going to be drinking a very special beer. I had this once before. It is wonderful. It is from Avery Brewing Company in Boulder, Colorado. This is called their Raspberry Truffle. They're making a little play on words between truffle and ale and combined it into a truffle. This is a 14% barrel-aged stout. So it's a big beer. It's bourbon barrel aged and infused with raspberry and chocolate. But what does Avery have to say about it? With this 50th installment of our barrel aged series, we figured there's always room for dessert. And we are proud to serve you this homage to Dad's favorite dessert, a riff on our first ever seasonal brew from 1996, magnified in bourbon barrels for a bigger, bolder bite of indulgence. So what they're talking about is Avery puts out these barrel-aged series of one-offs. They've only brewed this one time, and it was actually brewed in 2018. The beer in this bottle is going on 6 years old, so we'll see how it's fared. Yes, I did just buy this in a store, so it's still on shelves. It's still in distribution. And when I had it a few years ago, it was quite delicious. But what they do since their opening was have some special barrel-aged beers that they release every so often, one at a time, one off. They never make it again, and they release it out into the wild. Avery was actually started in 1993 by Adam Avery and his father. Adam Avery had been accepted into law school at the time, but had fallen in love with brewing and skipped law school and talked his dad into using a portion of his father's retirement savings to open their first brewery, and certainly seems to have paid off. They are a very huge concern for a craft brewery with a very large distribution footprint. As you can imagine, I'm by this regularly in Pennsylvania, and they're based in Boulder, Colorado. And they've had many, many very successful years. They actually have moved far beyond their initial warehouse brewery and built a dream brewery with 30 taps and a chef presented menu using all local ingredients. So it's certainly seems to be quite the place to go if you happen to be in Boulder, Colorado. But let's crank this open and take a look. Oh, I can smell it already from here. I smell just coming from the bottle, and the bottle's not even near me. The bottle's way out at the end of my outstretched arm, and I smell booziness and raspberries and darkness. And give it a little swirl in case there's some sediment. Just a little gentle swirl. Get all the goodness out of the bottom. Quite effervescent. Good amount of carbonation still in there. Obviously not a whole lot of head, which, as you know, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, something that's barrel aged and something that's then additionally bottle aged, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of head retention out of it. So as you can see, it's wonderfully dark, had a dark brown head for the small amount of time that it lasted, but is a beautiful beer. Just a beautiful looking imperial stout, very dark. Hey! Has a nice bit of viscosity, which you would expect and hope for in a stout, in an imperial stout especially. And what do we remember about imperial anything? It's just a bigger, bolder version of whatever type of a beer. So an imperial IPA is a higher alcohol content, bigger, bolder IPA. An imperial stout is a higher alcohol content, bigger, bolder stout. And this one weighing in at 14% certainly is bringing the goods. The aromas are nice. The aromas are dark, complex, a little bit subtle. You really got to kind of sift through. Might change as it warms up even more. I've had this sitting out of my fridge for about 30 minutes before we cracked it open in hopes that it would warm up some, release more volatiles. But you get nice aroma. You get a little bit of the booziness, the bourbon. You get a little bit of a dark chocolate. You get a nice amount of raspberry on the nose. Little bit of like a sherry note and a tobacco note. The sherry note may be aging, maybe signs of age, which certainly would be expected and actually would be welcomed in this type of beer. Oxygen impacts beer. It's called oxidation. And at the best of times, oxidation can give you some sherry-like notes, brandy-like notes to the beer. At the worst of times, it can impart a wet cardboard staleness to the beer. So the oxidation has done this well. Get a nice full mouthfeel. You get raspberry, not a big blast of tart raspberry, but a nice sweet, like a dark chocolate raspberry truffle up front. You get the notes of the chocolate, which just lends just a tiny bit of bitterness to the sweet, boozy bourbon flavors and raspberry flavors that you get up front, which is a very nice counterpoint, balances it out very nicely. Nice mouthfeel. On the very back end, you get just a tiny bit of roastiness, almost like a coffee, more like a mocha, because you're still getting that chocolate pushing through, but you get a little bit of roastiness on the back end that makes it kind of taste like a mocha at the end there. All in all, a fantastic 5.5-year-old beer. Now, I do have to shout out my Valentine's Day wishes to one special lady. And that would be Ms. Martha Ford, former chairperson and part owner of the Detroit Lions, whose beloved team did lose in San Francisco. So they will not be playing in the Super Bowl just before Valentine's Day. But ever since I saw an NFL commercial during the 100th anniversary of the NFL, that in part featured Martha Ford talking about being 93 years old and really, really hoping to bring a Lombardi trophy, to be able to see a Lombardi trophy come to Detroit. I've been rooting for the Lions. We hopefully she hangs in there for one more year and the Lions break through next year and can fulfill that dream for her. But she just seems like a sweet old lady, and I wish her all the best. Speaking of hanging in there during this holiday season that tends to celebrate the couple, we've picked a song to go with this beer to emphasize that. Now, this is a band that, to be honest, growing up, I didn't like a whole lot. But they're also a band that you almost can't help but sing their songs when they come on the radio. They're very catchy. Their musicianship can't be questioned, even if one's enjoyment of their music isn't particularly high. But tonight, we're going to be listening to Journey. And from this single person to all you single people out there celebrating Valentine's Day, don't stop believing.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised right here in Houston. He took the midnight train going anywhere.
You just gotta like it, don't you? I mean, even if you hate Journey, even if they annoy you, even if they seem poppy and trite, they're fantastic musicians. Steve Perry had, probably still has, but has definitely had to change his singing style and hasn't been with the band in a while. But Steve Perry's voice, Neil Sean's guitar playing, their musicianship can't be questioned. And the song's a good song. You can't help but sing along to it. I thought it was kind of interesting. This video was from a live performance in 1981, recently digitally remastered, but it was on their Escape tour when this song was brand new that video footage, that concert footage was taken. Notice that he changed a line in the song. The line, born and raised in South Detroit. He changed to born and raised in Houston, because they were obviously playing in Houston and he wanted to get a rise out of the crowd. But the funny thing is, there is no South Detroit. South of Detroit, believe it or not, is Canada, to be off on a tangent. Take a look at a map. Yes. Detroit, south of Detroit is Canada. So it's kind of funny. Steve Perry is quoted as saying, I tried North Detroit. I tried East and West, but it didn't sing. But South Detroit sounded so beautiful. I loved the way it sounded, only to find out later it's actually Canada. So there's a little tidbit for you about that song. Maybe it'll come up during a trivia contest sometime, and you can thank me for your winning answer. But this beer, just like that song, has aged really well. The brewery calls this indulgent, and yes, I concur. It is rich, smooth, dark chocolate with just a touch of bitterness, a touch of coffee, nice, sweet raspberry center coming through. Beautiful notes of bourbon and tobacco and sherry, rounding things out, giving it a nice complex character. And it's really super enjoyable. If you come across a bottle, don't hesitate. Pick it up. Also, don't hesitate to give this video a like. It'll help with the algorithm. Subscribe. If you like what I'm doing here, please subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit that notification bell because I'm putting out new content all the time, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of it. But most importantly, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like. Let me know if you too are rooting for Martha Ford to get her Lombardi trophy. And if you're not rooting for Martha Ford, you really need to question your priorities. But until next time, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.